Mr. President, you are the one dividing Nigerians, not the terrorist. On Friday night, Mr. President, in response to the claim by the Islamic State of West Africa province, ISWAP, and for those who don't know what ISWAP is a terrorist group and they are a breakaway from Boko Haram. They killed 10 Christians in Nigeria as revenge for the killing of its leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and Abdul Azan al-Muhajir in Iraq and in Syria. You made a passionate appeal to Nigerians not to allow the terrorists to divide us. That is what Buhari said. He made a passionate appeal to Nigerians not to allow the terrorists to divide us. According to you, in the statement you released via your Twitter handle, we should under no circumstances let the terrorists divide us by turning Christians against Muslims, because these barbaric killers do not represent Islam and millions of other law-abiding Muslims around the world. You went on to say that you are and you were profoundly saddened and shocked by the death of innocent hostages in the hands of remorseless, godless, callous gangs of mass murderers that have given Islam a bad name through their atrocities. Mr. President, you may well be saddened by the death of the hostages, which would be a good thing. I am not in your mind. Nobody is. We cannot argue about the selectivity of your sadness. No law prohibits selective sadness in the country. You have the right to be sad about the death of 10 hostages, but not about those of Shiites, pro-Biafra agitators, victims of herdsmen attacks, and their likes, who are in thousands. Such sadness is understandable considering that your government has come under scrutiny for religious intolerance. This intervention is surely not an attempt to probe into your mind to ascertain whether you are truly sad or not. It is to call your attention to what I suspect is an attempt to play to the gallery with respect to the widening ethnic and religious divisions in the country. Mr. President, your appeal to Nigerians not to allow the terrorists to divide them is a welcome development, but I am afraid the dividers are not the terrorists. They are those in power in Aso Rock Villa, and you are the head as the country's president. Terrorists are who they are, and you are right about them being godless, callous gangs of mass murderers who have spared neither Muslims nor Christians, whose heinous crimes are condemned by all, irrespective of religion or ethnicity. A vast majority of Nigerians understand the terrorists for who they are. I don't see how, for instance, I will, because of the execution of Christians by a terrorist group, be angry with my Muslim friend or neighbor who is no less scandalized by the gruesome murders, although there are some of them that are in support of certain rules and laws that they call the Sharia and some other distorted Islamic doctrines. It is no doubt that the murderers are soulless. They are guilty of crimes against humanity and are indeed barbarians who should not live among humans. They are all that and more, but they are not, in the strict context, the people who are dividing Nigeria politically. You groups are the one, your cabals and the rest of them are the ones dividing Nigeria politically and also with religious bigotry. Your suggestion that they are, Your Excellency, may be inaccurate. Nigerians know who are dividing them. They are those in power. Mr. President, Nigerians are divided by your policies that some have described rightly or wrongly as hate policies. Policies that have ensured that practically all arms-bearing security and intelligence agencies, from the military, police, customs to civil defense, are in the hands of your own section of the country, your own section in the north. As it is with security, it is perhaps even worse with economic architecture. Mr. President, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, as it stands, virtually all key revenue generating and regulatory agencies like Finance Ministry, Nigerian Ports Authority, Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, Federal Inland Revenue, Nigerian Immigration Service, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Asset Management Company of Nigeria, and the likes are all taken up by your own section of the country, Hausa Fulani. I am aware, of course, that the Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, is still headed by Mr. Dakuku Peterside as a possible reward for former Rivers Governor Chibuike Amiechi, who is said to have been very instrumental to your emergence as president. Your own people, regardless, are also in charge of finance and other key sections of the agency. I have not also forgotten that the good Mr. Godwin Emefiele, a gentleman with no capacity to rock the boat, is still the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. But that about. Every other one is held by your northern constituency in a country of 200 million people of diverse ethnic and religious group. Mr. President, every appointment you make every now and then goes in the same direction. You have not paid heed to our complaints in this regard. Apart from those, every post worth its salt in Aso Rock, you have given it to your own people. In fact, the country is being run by some groups of people from your own section, and they are called the cabals. And one of your media aides said there is nothing wrong with the cabals. There is the Attorney General, the Secretary to Government, and the Chief of Staff. What still, Mr. President, this is the first time in the country's history that all three arms of government are headed by people of one geopolitical region. 1/5 in a country with nearly even Christians and Muslim population. You, as the president, is the head of the executive. Senator Ahmed Lawan, Senate President, is the head of the legislature, while Justice Tanko Mohammed, the man that claimed he could not present his certificate because some termites, some insects in the northern part of Nigeria ate it, and he now presents affidavits to support what he cannot present. Just like you have no O level and you cannot present any of it. If you do, well, I know they've gone around all of that. So, Justice of Nigeria, Chief Justice of Nigeria, head of Judiciary, Mr. President, we remember how reluctant you were in appointing Justice Walter Onogen for the post of CJN. And when the Vice President did in your absence, we know how Onogen eventually ended. These, Mr. President, are the main causes of the divisions. It will seem, Your Excellency, that you are treating other sections of the country as though they are merely tolerated outsiders. This mainly is the reason why the country is now more divided than it has ever been since the Civil War. It is not the terrorists. Well, the only way the terrorists might be doing so will have to do with how they are being treated compared to how you treat agitators, compared to how you treat revolutionaries that are protesting without any form of weapons, considering how you treat people that have the right to protest, activists, compared to how you treat agitators elsewhere who are not harmed. Mr. President, we hear in the news once again that arrested members of BK0'HRM, the dreaded group, are released from detention because they have been de-radicalized. This defies logic, Your Excellency. These are people who have actually killed thousands of Nigerians and wasted many of our gallant soldiers. And you, an ex-major general, yet they are not executed or jailed, but freed because they have, according to your government, repented. Mr. President, at the same time, your government has shown disinterest in arresting and prosecuting militant herdsmen who are wreaking havoc in most parts of the country. At the moment, they are much more deadly than BK0'HRM, judging by the number of people killed this year. And last year, they move around with AK-47. Their hideouts are largely always known. But officials of your government routinely make excuses for them. However, You never hesitated to send soldiers to the southeast, and when they go, they mow down hundreds of pro-Biafra agitators who are never harmed. They are shot on sight for holding flags and for marching in the streets. The Shiites have also been victims of what appears to be an eagerness by those who hold the guns to waste life of those whose belief or ethnicity differ from theirs. Mr. President, these are the causes of division, not terrorists. Mr. President, you are fast building a reputation of divisiveness, and it started long ago from when you were military head of the state. Those in the know have confirmed that back then you chose to back a citizen of Niger Republic, Ide Ohumaru, against your own compatriot Peter Onu for the job of African Union Secretary General. Ohumaru had been of your ethnic Fulani stock and a Muslim. Onu was an Igbo man and a Christian. Mr. President, on that occasion, you choose tribe and religion over country. Again, upon coming to power in 1983, you accused Shehu Shagari government, which you replaced, of corruption. But for some strange reasons, you put Shagari, who was the executive president, as Professor Wole Soyinka once put it, in a cozy apartment in Ikoyi in the name of house arrest. But the vice president, Dr. Alex Ekweme, who had no power to implement policies, you detained in Kirikiri prison and even continued detaining him after he was found not to have stolen a kobo by the tribunal you set up. Mr. President, former governor of Ondo State, Chief Adekunle Ajasin, suffered similar fate. You detained him indefinitely even after he was pronounced not guilty by the same tribunal. His only crime, perhaps, was deciding to, as a member of the UPN, stand his ground against the onslaught of the north-leaning NPN. Meanwhile, the likes of Uba Ahmed, who was Secretary General of NPN and a prominent figure of the Shagari government, who fall into the hands of your security agencies, somehow disappeared overseas. Mr. President, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, there are many other examples, but let us stop here. This is not an attempt to ridicule your government, Your Excellency, but an effort to convey to you how your government is being perceived by large sections of the country as a ridiculed, mediocre, partisan, selective government. This is in the hope that as you appear willing to start 2020 on a positive note, given your recent statement, it will help you to make amends such that at the end of the day, we all will remember you for being a statesman, not a sectional leader and a dictator. So that is what it is, guys, for now. If you're not a member of this channel, let us build it together by you simply tapping on the subscription button and the red notification icon bell below. It will alert you whenever our videos such as this are uploaded. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and use the share button. Share it all around your social media platform. Thanks for stopping by.